Table or truth?
We're here with another smashing episode of Table for Truth. My name is Xavier. This is Tyson. Thank you for coming. We enjoy your listening audio ship, and hope you enjoy this episode as well, as much as I enjoyed the closing monologue in the last episode. Sorry.
So no problem.
Go ahead.
Let's talk about your truckers.
Okay, talk about the truckers. Yeah, like what do you think is you think it's just like a bogey, a smokescreen? Like it's not going to be a big issue.
I think it's a joke.
Okay, that's fair.
So
I'm not going to disagree.
Well, let me tell our audience. You send me YouTube clips of various types. I don't know where you find these people.
On YouTube.
I bless them for what they do and the hard work that they do in order to put out their content.
Yep.
And but when I see something wrong, I got to call it. And so
it's wrong.
You are now on probation.
Misinformed.
For a month, you can't send me any YouTube because the last 5, I couldn't even make it through.
I don't understand.
Let's talk about the website you sent me. You were talking about the truckers, like it's really going to happen in New York. And then she put on
what's just
a trucker that they're going to not deliver goods to New York City.
No, it's a concern, I believe, not an absolute. It's a concern that could happen. Like right now, this is the first day of the so-called boycott.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to be a major threat, but
it's nothing. Now, again, the whole premise and them going on TikTok and CB radio, and I talked to 10 truckers who said that they're not going to. I've already talked to my boss, and we're not going to do any trucking to New York. It's like, yeah, right, okay.
Well, let's see what happens.
You want to? It's not going to happen. You want to impress me, hence the reason that you're on probation for a month.
Well, you
want to impress me? You and your buddy truckers, you take all your trucks.
I don't know them.
You take.
I just relayed some underground news.
You take all your trucks, surround the courthouse where a decision was made that you didn't like, for 5 blocks. Take the keys, walk away. Now you got me impressed. 1.
Why?
2,
why would you want to get fined for the traffic violation?
Well, hold it.
What's going to hurt the gut more? Like that, where they're going to have to spend hundreds of dollars on traffic violations, or simply just refute any kind of supplies going into the city?
Then it's not going to happen.
Okay, if they're private truckers, it could happen.
It's not going to happen.
Just find another gig. I know private truckers. They don't have to take those gigs.
Well, good. Don't. But it's not going to hurt New York in the least.
Okay, you may be right. New York's a big place.
Please.
Okay.
You got 5 trucks who aren't going to deliver their goods.
Okay.
So some other trucking company's going to do it. Ooh.
Yeah, I think the theme behind it, though,
is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
It's absurd. The court made a decision, and one of these poor truckers believe that Trump's going to win on appeal. That's a joke. He is not. It's going to be interesting.
It's still going to make the accusers and the Democratic Party look like heels during this whole time. But okay. I mean, it's your reputation.
You keep coming up with the Democratic Party. Democratic Party.
They had nothing to do with this.
Nothing.
They didn't endorse it. They're not smiling or grinning. They're not happy this is happening.
Smiling and grinning. Endorsing it. It was 4 indictments.
It was 4 indictments because
91 federal charges.
Yeah, even though nobody actually that was in the contracts doing these transactions even cared to create an indictment scenario.
Against the law.
You know what this sounds like? This sounds like, remember in 2nd grade, you always had that one tattletale where like 2 kids would be like talking or something in the hallway, and then that one person raises their hand, Mrs. Krababble, Ryan said a dirty word, and you're just like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, keep it within your infrastructure here. Mrs. Krababble didn't have to get involved. Like, this was a transaction between 2 people. Nothing bad happened here. Nobody was calling. It was that one rat who just was like.
It is against banking law.
So
it is
okay. So the Democratic Party is okay with the rat principle.
You keep saying the Democratic Party. It wasn't the Democratic Party.
No, but the people on the left. How about that?
No.
Trump derangement syndrome acolytes. Is that a fair?
No.
A-holes? Is that fair?
No.
Reprobates.
No.
Evildoers.
No.
People that like to perpetrate a miscarriage of justice when there was really nothing to really complain about in the first place.
No.
This is like a Dr. Seuss book right now. I could just keep going. But,
well, you can stop at any time. But
what else you got on your radar these days, sir? Like, is there any other topics that you
Oh, plenty.
Please,
one, Alexei Navalny.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive me for mispronouncing his name.
Is that the guy that was in Russia that died?
Yes, that's what the Russian prison service said, that he was out for a walk and just collapsed and died.
Right. But like his wife, you're probably sensing some foul play.
Well, the reason that he was in a gulag, Russian gulag, but also he was just recently transferred to, this place, I believe it was in Siberia, so they transfer him to basically a hellhole,
mm-hmm.
and he doesn't make it, dies at 47, and then foul play, besides just being there was one thing, but they have not released the body to the family and plan to keep it at least 2 weeks. And so if there was any certain poisons that if they were served to Alexei, and their half-life is short, 2 weeks, you may not be able to detect it. So
fair enough.
His wife was in Germany and spoke at the foreign conference there in Germany and got a standing ovation, and
she's a widow of a martyr now.
But and his mother went to claim the body, and they refused to give her the body. So,
yeah, which is kind of suspicious. It sounds almost like they are enabling a little chicanery on their process. But is the law on the side of, I guess, the Russian government on this? Are they doing everything by the book of the law?
Well, one would offer that there is no law beyond Putin's law. So.
Oh, so like he's miscarriaging the letter of the law. He's weaponizing the law to fit his own agenda.
I don't know Russian law, so I can't say.
So why are we complaining? As much as I don't agree with what happened here, by the standards of what we just discussed earlier.
Why are we complaining that?
Yeah, why are we lamenting? I mean, it's too bad this guy.
Someone who was an opposition leader, who was.
No, I 100% agree.
With pointing out some of the corruption going on.
I'm with you there, man.
Trumped up charges.
No, I agree, but like based on what we were discussing.
Yeah.
Okay, if we don't know the legalities of the law here, but the Russian government might have been within their jurisdiction of doing the proper legal course of action for this guy, and it was just a coincidence. You can't prove anything, right? And this guy broke the law, right? Just let me think of an analogy of like Trump's New York indictment suit against him, like on the real estate, the $355 million because legally he broke the law. That's what you were saying earlier.
Yes.
And even though it was a transaction between two people that had nothing to do with the government overreach, right? Two entities.
No, that's what
Trump and the bank.
Say.
All of a sudden, the government decided to overreach and just get involved and just use some sort of a legality to try to get Trump in the slammer or at least like bankrupt. Now, likewise, this opponent of Putin, as far as I can tell, he was all he did was just he ran against Putin. He spoke not favorably about Putin's shenanigans in Russia, and somehow they got him on some legal charge that got him into a gulag in a Siberian prison. But that's the law, right?
Don't forget the poisoning.
Okay, but we don't know he was poisoned.
Oh, yes, we do.
Oh, he was poisoned.
He was poisoned.
That's proven.
And
I thought nobody could see the body.
Well, evidently you don't know the history on Alexei. He was poisoned with, I don't know the name of the radiation isotope, but he was taken out of Russia, and it was a miracle. Went to Germany and was hospitalized in Germany, in which they were able to keep him alive.
So how was he ended up in?
And so that's how they knew he was poisoned.
Wait a minute, are we talking about the same guy? I thought you said this guy died while going to a gulag in Siberia.
Well, again, you don't know Alexei's history.
Yeah.
So then once he was well, instead of staying out of Russia, he returned to Russia, for his cause and for the Russian people, in which when he flew back, he was immediately arrested.
Because of
And
what?
then I don't know exactly what the charge was when he flew back.
But he broke the law, clearly. Otherwise, the entire country would be in an uproar.
The country was in an uproar, but because it's a dictatorship, any dissension is quickly beat down.
Sounds like they weaponized their legal system to create an outcome to take out their political enemies. That's what it sounds like in Russia.
I know you're being facetious.
I'm not trying. I'm just trying to be logical here because we can't have it both ways.
You can't compare.
Well, they haven't killed. If I may be so bold, they haven't axed the Great Orange one yet. But it just sounds like we're talking some high-rise hijinks by the opponents of the said Orange Man, if you will. And I'm just saying, it just sounds a little ironic. But okay. At any rate, I do feel bad for this guy and his widow. I mean, this is, I don't know why if he was such an incompetent threat, why his opponents would try to silence him like that. It never understood why if you have an opponent who's a detractor and you truly are confident in yourself, you know who you are. There's no reason why you should be intimidated by this person because technically you're in the right. And truth will come out. I mean, at the end of the day, you have nothing to worry about. You're doing the right thing. You're doing the Lord's work, if you will.
Well, but if you're not right,
then you're just corrupt and you're a manipulating dictator and a tyrant who may use the justice system.
We saw the same thing with Saudi Arabia and the New York Times
and the New York justice system too.
What?
Yeah, you were just now the $355 million against Trump. Okay.
As much as you attempt to make light of U.S. law under the U.S. Constitution, which is a beacon of democratic society.
It is when it's not weaponized.
And then try to compare it with a Russian or / communist dictatorship, whether you talk Russia, whether you talk China, whether you talk North Korea, you can't compare the two.
No, you certainly can't compare yet. I agree. I agree. We're not there yet.
And so this attempted comparison of the two is not right. And
what do you mean, morally, or?
No, what you're trying to do is attempt to make a point that the indictments on Trump are not legal, and they are legal.
Well, no, they're legal, but that's just like I'm saying, just like this guy getting arrested legally was arrested.
Committed crimes.
Allegedly committed. Wait a minute, allegedly? Oh, yeah, and then he was found guilty.
Well, in this case, you had the Trump organization was found to be guilty of fraud, and they got hit, and Alan Weisselberg ended up doing some time for that.
Okay, well, let's stick to the actual...
CFO. Trump, the actual what?
The actual transaction between Trump and these banks that caused him to lose $355 million.
That was the Trump work. So that's part of the whole Trump empire.
Now, I'm guessing the $355 million is how much he frauded, supposedly, these banks, and that's why it's that high, right?
If you look at, what the interest rate where he should have paid if he properly reported what the property and other assets that he had put down, and also which not only defrauded the bank, but also their shareholders. The banks made millions and millions of less dollars because of...
So Trump's claims in his campaign speech is that those banks actually ended up making a lot of money from these transactions anyway, and they weren't upset at all because they ended up making a ton of money from these deals. That's an outright lie from Trump.
I can't say that.
Well, I mean, it's one or the other. Like Trump himself, in fact, if anything, you could probably catch him on that for flat out lying that these banks didn't make a crap ton of money from these
No,
deal transactions.
there's no doubt that the with
It was a
the little
win-win.
little interest, but the banks, if he reported his assets properly, would have made more money, and their shareholders would have made more money. And he defrauded the banks, which is against the law. Hence the reason.
So these bankers that are the victims of this, ironically, are going to be even bigger victims because thanks to the government overreach now, these bank tellers will have been seen as incompetent in the eyes of the shareholders of these banks, and therefore they're going to be like, these guys can't even like tell like a bad deal from a terrible deal here. We lost potentially millions of dollars from investing in these idiot banks because they worked with the Donald. We don't want them on our board of stewards of running our finances. So a lot of people are going to get screwed over from this thanks to the government overreach. Is that fair?
When you say government overreach,
This is government overreach. Like the state of New York overreached this when nobody was complaining, except they decided to just get involved in this, and now the lives of not just Trump and his aides, but apparently lots of bankers that probably were part of these banks that were victimized by Trump are going to get screwed over too because by process of default, like they themselves are responsible for enacting a pretty stupid deal that screwed over their shareholders. That's the only way to look at this.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so a lot of people get screwed over when they never even had to because this was all in the past and nobody even cared and people had made money. But the government, the government of New York decided to go out of their way, which is overreach, and create a big conundrum out of nothing. And it had nothing to do, by the way, folks, because of the election coming up, like to ruin his reputation. Nothing. It's just a coincidence. See, the government, remember, is your friend, according to the way we're looking at this. They care about you. That's why if you happen to work for a bank, you better be on your toes because guess what? If you're not doing your job and you don't know when you're getting swindled by a shark, the government might come in and ruin your life and get you fired, according to what I'm understanding. Well, God bless the government of New York.
Well,
I mean, for being such stalwarts and
on March 25th, when the Alvin Bragg goes to trial
Saint Alvin Bragg, we should call him,
in New York, which is a criminal trial, unlike and it's not 355 million. It was, I think it was closer to 450 million because he also got hit with interest.
You're talking about Trump getting hit with another
$100 million in interest. So this case is currently at 450.
Alvin Bragg is the prosecutor. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, well, this is on the criminal case on March 25th.
Okay.
And that's the one dealing with Stormy Daniels, where Trump.
What does Alvin Bragg have to do with any of this? Sorry.
He's the DA in New York.
Oh, he's the same guy responsible for letting those migrants go, the ones that beat up those cops, right? That guy?
No.
That's not the same guy?
No.
That's not the same DA in New York.
No, he's not responsible for.
Well, his policies allowed for the relaxed policies on criminals, in the city. That's the same Alvin Bragg, right?
Alvin Bragg became the DA in New York. He was elected, and he started in 2023.
Great, and since then, crime has continued to be relaxed in terms of like penalties for criminals, like for many criminals. To the best of my knowledge, or that's just hearsay on the streets. That's
just hearsay on the streets.
So people are actually like those migrants that beat up those two cops.
Yes,
they are still in jail somewhere. They in a parallel universe. It's all in my head that they ended up on a bus somewhere in I think Nevada and got caught there because they were released like right afterward.
Okay.
So I'm making that up. Like what I saw physically on the news is just a.
No, I didn't say you made that up.
So what am I believing here? That Alvin Bragg is a competent DA who is going to fairly and justly try to go against Trump on this because no doubt he's some of America's finest folks, right?
He indicted Trump and he
understands justice like you wouldn't
on
believe.
March 25th, and that's for him. Making up or lying on his business records, which defaulted
Trump, not Alvin Bragg.
Trump.
Okay, well, good for Alvin Bragg, I guess, right? What a champion of justice. I mean, look at that. He cares so much about New Yorkers that he's allowed all these these criminals to go loose without any kind of real heavy penalties, and now he's going to go after the Donald again because he knows that Donald's a bad man. It has nothing to do with the upcoming election. I might add, no, not at all.
No.
By the way, that's sarcasm.
He was indicted early last year.
I think what people are getting is a good understanding of the psyche of how the left thinks on these things.
You keep saying it's the left. How about looking at it a different way?
You mean
you had
diluted.
A former president who's a criminal.
He's an evil man. He's like Hitler.
He's a criminal. He has been found by a jury of his peers to have committed sexual assault.
If this was Lord of the Rings.
And, again, 4 indictments by a former president.
What does the sexual assault have to do with the real estate? Just like, we're sticking to one thing here.
No.
You just want to thematically say he's a terrible man. He's a terrible human being.
Yeah, that could,
and he cannot be president at all costs. He must not be.
What the presidency has, as far as I'm concerned,
it has nothing to do with it.
No.
Okay, that's fascinating. All right. Hey, do we have any other topics? Because I think you've proved your point. Like, you clearly don't like Trump. That's fine. Wait, what else you got? Something. Again, man, we got a whole library of books here on topics. Man, we got philosophy, we got religion, we got history.
Since you're here on Trump, you heard about his new sneakers.
Unbelievable. We're gonna keep going with Trump. Yeah, I heard about the Trump sneakers. He's probably gonna do pretty good. He's gonna probably be able to sell 5 million of them.
It was only 1,000 pairs at $400 a piece, but that also included his new perfume.
You know, those are gonna be sold on eBay for thousands upon thousands of dollars.
Okay. Just like his little fake digital coin. Yeah.
Okay.
That,
so what? That's just being an entrepreneur. Now you're gonna yell at him for being an entrepreneur?
No.
Okay.
No, but they were ugly sneakers.
Well, whatever. It's each their own, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I never thought I like the Reebok pumps. I like the Jordans. I wasn't a fan of the Larry Johnson React Juice kind of sneaks, but they were okay, I guess. They look kind of sort of cookie cutter, but I shouldn't say that. They were, you know what? Those were cool too. What was the worst sneaker, since we're going on the sneaker industry here? What about the whole thing about Nike? Now that you sort of mentioned the sneaker front, Nike laying off, what was it, 6,000 I think employees in the Oregon region, or it might have been worldwide, due to, regrettably it seems, although I could be wrong, they didn't seem to study the history behind what happened when Dylan Mulvaney became an ambassador for Bud Light. Now, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing, once again, on the reaction to this, but I believe since Dylan Mulvaney became an ambassador for the Nike brand, the sales or the interactions of people wanting to do anything with Nike have dropped by a large margin, enough to the point where people are getting laid off by the thousands now in the Nike kingdom. Well, what's your thoughts on that? You know about that?
No. So
well, I just told you.
So you're saying that is it brand is wearing Nikes, or
no, not Russell Brand. We're talking about Nike itself, the company.
But who is it that
Dylan Mulvaney? This is Bud Light Fiasco 2.0.
Okay, so what did Nike do with Mulvaney?
Well, let's specifically. Why don't I look up the actual quote here, because I know that, to the best of my knowledge, this is why I wanted to hear it from you.
Well, I didn't know anything about it.
Dylan Mulvaney had become an ambassador for Nike. I don't think that's the end of the world if Dylan Mulvaney does that. I can see why people are pissed off about it.
Why are people pissed off?
Well, because they feel like they're being lectured, with woke nonsense down their throat once again. That's not me. That's them saying it. Nike responds to backlash over Dylan Mulvaney's partnership. Okay, so let's see. Here's another article. Social media users blast Nike following partnership with trans woman Dylan Mulvaney. Various social media users were anything but happy after realizing that Nike partnered with transgender activist Dylan Mulvaney. The latter took to her Instagram account to announce her collaboration with the multinational company and posted pictures of her wearing Nike pants and a sports bra. Alert the media, I'm entering my workout area, Mulvaney captioned the picture she shared. I will say this about Dylan Mulvaney. She's quite the narcissist. I mean, seriously. Nike is now sponsoring the transgender activists.
You're not getting away with that. So influences aren't narcissists?
Well, some of them are like over the top narcissistic. You can't argue that. We're like, for instance, we have a nice little humble show. We're not narcissists, okay? At least I don't think we are.
Thank you.
All right. I mean, we may be, a-holes every now and then, but we're not like complete, like, we're not sending like action figures of you or me out to the masses or anything like that. And even if we were famous, we're not gonna like Instagram photos of us doing the stupidest lame things. Like, nobody cares, Okay, so the moral of the story is that apparently if she was so famous and beloved, then why are the sales so bad for Nike?
Well, my quick lookup of this, because I was unaware of this partnership, as whatever you call it. We're talking about last summer, last May, last June. And so they're laying off people, and it's not because of...
Well, let me see when this is written up. Let's just make sure...
Nike's laying off 2% of people because...
2% is a big portion. That's thousands of employees.
As part of its general plan to cut costs. Nike said it will simplify its product assortment and increase automation and technology.
And you don't believe it has anything to do with the 2.0 version of Bud Light fiasco with Dylan Mulvaney's? So it's just a coincidence. Okay.
You said coincidence. We're talking about they're laying off people now. Their thing with this influencer happened last summer. So please.
Yeah, but right now they're seeing the aftermath of the continued drop of sales, and it took about 7 months for the effects to start laying off people. That's the point. That's why in February 6th, 2024, we're seeing these articles as we speak right now. Which is, yeah, you're right, we're a week off. But, like, the fact is this is actually happening. Which seems kind of unfair if you just happen to be an innocent Nike employee, that didn't want to get involved in the fact that your company politicized a little bit, knowing that there was going to be some sort of drawback. And you wonder, why would they continue to keep doing this if they know that, like, obviously people are not...
You're saying it as if it's a fact that Nike sales dropped off because of this thing that they did last summer, which you got to show me more than your speculation that 6 months later they decide to do a reorg as companies do, and that's cause and effect.
6,000, 2%... aka thousands of employees is nothing to worry about.
It's 1,600, so let's not go
sure,
crazy.
Whatever. Okay,
1,600. You're saying thousands.
Let's look at the actual comments here. Maybe we shouldn't, but I boycott them, but I can't. I've been buying anything from Nike I haven't bought anything from Nike in many years. There's superior products out there from other manufacturers. I moved on to them long ago. I stopped buying Nike around 15 or more years ago. Didn't like LeBron. I didn't like Tiger Woods. How can anybody continue to purchase that brand? It's absurd beyond belief. Well, that's just 2 people out of millions, I guess. But I guess they're going to be safe, unless, of course, you're one of the poor people that got shafted by this layoff, and it had nothing to do with Dylan Mulvaney. Yeah, okay.
Your 2 commenters made no mention of this influencer, so why are you
They
saying
did, actually. They mentioned that Dylan Mulvaney has been rejected by a lot of social media, a huge portion of social media.
I didn't. Well, when you read that, I didn't say that I stopped buying Nikes because of her or him.
What else we got, man? Any we got let me actually, you know what? This is as good a time to end our absurdity. Okay. I think we learned a little bit more, more turning the doomsday clock as to how the mindset of certain demographics of the population view reality. I hope this was somewhat informative and somewhat entertaining for the public out there, all 35 of you OGs that are fans, and everybody else, too, like that tuned in. So we'll catch you next time for one more smashing episode of Table for Truth and some Weekly Mints. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Hi, folks. Hit a like and don't forget to subscribe. And share the episodes if you like them.